Let's start. For those who don't know, I'm Alec Pirhalo, CEO at SafePoint IT, Chicago-based managed service provider. I will be moderating this session, which is a series of webinars that we started doing several months ago. And right now we educate on AI use. The next session will be on July 23rd. There will be a registration link at the end and more information on that later. We will be talking, in the next session, we'll be talking about Claude, using Claude as your agent. But today's presenters are Caden. He's sharing the screen now. Caden's our service manager. Jared, our enterprise manager, level 3 manager. I'm sorry, engineer. And we got Dmitry, who's going to be covering some news with us. Dmitry is our CTO here at SafePoint IT. Today, we'll be touching on Agentic AI. So we've been talking about moving away from generative AI to Agentic AI. And this is going to be concentrating more about what does it mean and what can it do. There will be a couple of demos, but basically we'll cover some news real quick. What's the biggest thing that happened? And I'm going to talk about a little bit about that. Then I'm going to talk about difference of generative versus agentic. And Caden will talk about have some slides to talk about it. Then Jared will have some demos, and at the end we'll have Q&As.
The most exciting news this week is the release of Cloud Fable 5, which is Cloud's newest model. And it is publicly available right now, and it is the state of the art in every benchmark so far that they've tested, especially the coding. It is very strong on long and complex tasks. The bigger the job, the better it'll do. And through June 22nd, it is available for free on the Pro, Max, and the Team subscriptions, as well as the enterprise plans. Just keep in mind, after June 23rd, it'll shift to the usage credits. Now, that's where you want to be careful if you do continue to utilize it, because it costs roughly 2 times the usage of Opus. So it can burn through credits pretty fast. Make sure to use it selectively. And the use cases for it, if you notice that Opus is struggling with something, definitely try Fable with these complex, hard problems, but otherwise do stick with Opus for everyday tasks. As far as what small businesses should be doing today, try to keep in mind to match the model to the job. So you don't necessarily need to use Fable or even Opus for everyday items. Ideally, Fable should be used for high value, complex works. Otherwise, lean on the cheaper models for the everyday tasks. And the other item that I wanted to talk about is just a quick tip for those of you who are utilizing OpenAI. Codex, it has the ability to be controlled directly from your cell phone. So all of your work, any progress that you normally have on your computer, when you're away from it, you can continue doing the work from the phone itself. Works with all of your existing setup. It'll have access to the same files, plugins, configurations that you typically already use on your computer. So there's nothing to rebuild. You can control the desktop apps. So just keep in mind, if you're away from your computer, you don't necessarily need to stop working. You can continue having access from your cell phone.
Yeah, wonderful. Now you can work all the time. Thanks for the tip, Dmitry. Let's move on. Caden, all yours.
Perfect. Thanks, Alec. So
And
just
by the way, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt for a second.
Mhm.
Everybody's who is watching this, uh, as you get your questions, please put them in. There's a Q&A button. We'll answer them later. But yeah, the more questions we have, the better. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Um, so yeah, just to introduce myself a little bit more. My name is Caden Evenson, the service manager here at SafePoint. My job as service manager is to set the team up to succeed, give them the right tools, the right priorities, and good day-to-day support just kind of becomes the norm. Jared's going to help me with some of the demos here. Jared, you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, quick recap on me. Name's Jared Bear, enterprise engineer at SafePoint. I assist with quoting, projects, escalated tickets, whatever else, Dimitri and Alec decide to put me up to.
Mostly Dmitry.
Mostly Dimitri.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Perfect. Thanks, Jared. Okay, so let's talk about the difference between generative and agentic AI a bit, because they are two very different kinds of AI. I don't want to gloss over this. People lump together both of these as just AI, and it makes adoption much more difficult, much more confusing. If you treat an agent that can send and delete things like a chatbot that just writes text, you've misjudged the risk before you even get started. You're not going to be implementing it or using it the way that it can be to its full potential. So, for most of us, AI has always been kind of a capable assistant that you have to direct. You ask, it responds, you prompt, it produces. You're always in the driver's seat with it. That's generative. And honestly, that's most people's entire picture of AI. Think ChatGPT. If you're on Twitter or X, it's called Grok. These are you ask it to give you something, it gives you something, and then you take that elsewhere. Agentic AI is deeper than that. You hand it a goal instead of an instruction. It works out the steps to find its way to that goal, carries them out across your tools, within limits that you set, of course. So take something simple like sending an email. Generative AI might help you write it, might help you come up with a draft, but agentic AI goes a step further. It figures out who it needs to go to. It'll draft it up for you, route it to who it's, sign off. It's going to send it for you if you ask it to, log it in your CRM, and then line up a follow-up. Same starting point, you have an email to send out, but one does a task, it gives you a piece of it. The other one runs from start to finish. So it's a move from AI as a tool that you use to AI as a teammate that moves work forward. The cleanest way to describe the difference with generative AI, nothing happens until you act on it. You're the safety net, you're the driver. Agentic AI, the action, the intention of it is the output. By the time you sit down to review it, typically it's already done with what you asked it to do. So there's different use cases. It's not you can only pick one or the other. It's a two different tools that you can utilize where it makes sense. Let generative AI help you think and draft. Let agentic AI take over doing the repetitive tasks that you don't want to do once you trust it, of course. So the business use case here. Uh, the win with agentic AI isn't just getting smarter answers, more information, it's actually having finished work. So when the AI quietly handles the routine stuff, summaries, drafts, follow-ups, data entry, a smaller team is able to spend its time doing the work that actually needs a human involved. So picture reports that build and send themselves, tickets sorted and routed the second that they land in your queue, follow-ups that go out without anybody remembering to send them. A team of like 5 people might be able to do the work of 10 people by handing off the work that ate half of their week to agentic AI. They get that time back. That's the real prize here. So the one thing worth mentioning is that the same automation that's saving you time doing more on its own, it's might introduce some risks. It's worth being a little thoughtful about how you set it up. It's not a reason to hold back implementing this kind of AI for your company. It's just a good reason to put sensible checks in place that's worth thinking about as you're implementing this tool. Very easy to do once you know how to do it. The real headline here is the upside. You get more done, you get more hours back. The teams who get the most out of it are just the ones who are setting things up carefully, the same way you'd want seatbelts in a fast car. The guardrails aren't a brake on progress. They're what make that progress sustainable long term. So, some common mistakes people are making right now. Uh, and I want to keep it positive. Getting value out of this doesn't take anything fancy. There's basically four main pitfalls that people fall into. That if as long as you know what you're getting into, you know what to look out for, it's very easy to build off of from day one. So think of this as a shortcut to doing agentic AI well. So first, you want to keep visibility, oversight. You just want a simple way to see what it's doing and a way to undo. Nothing elaborate, just don't run it blind. You'll be okay. Second, you want to give it clean data, clean inputs. AI does its best work with tidy data. So a quick cleanup up front pays off the same way it would do for you bring on a new hire. You want to give them the proper instructions, show them how to do the job properly. Third, it's best to define use cases as you're implementing AI. AI is getting better and better. You can do a lot more with it. It is very easy to find new use cases. But as you are implementing it for your company, it's very beneficial to focus on the specific tasks that you want it to do and hammer out those specific tasks with AI. One task, one owner, you have a way to measure success. If you focus the AI, you're going to have a lot more benefit from it. And lastly, having a human in the loop, it's gonna go a long way. So think of your agentic AI as a junior teammate. They are very quick, they're capable. You brought them on the team because you see what they got, right? But you don't just hand them over the keys. You have them do the work, you review it before it goes out or once it's done, and move forward. They're doing the work for you, but you want to check it along the way. So
Just
this is
a
all in
quick
theory.
note. I wanted to add something about cleaning data. It may seem like a daunting task, oh, now we need to clean up all data. You can use AI to clean your
Sure.
data. So to analyze what you have and recommend updates and so forth. So yeah.
Yeah, the AI will tell you what it is confused by. It'll point out areas where it has issues reading.
Inconsistencies. Yeah.
Yep. So this is all in theory. Let's talk about some real use case, right? So this one, a little close to home because this is our service department. These are some of the tasks that we do, right? And I want to be clear, this isn't about replacing anybody on my team, replacing anybody on your team. Every business gets a lot of the same questions. They get a lot of the same requests over and over. It's about taking those repetitive parts off of your plate so that you and your team can spend your day on the work that actually needs a human involved. So we're going to demo a bot here. Some of the things it can do, it can sort and prioritize incoming requests the moment that they land. It can pull the key points out of long email chains and conversations, first draft replies that your team can review, edit, and send. It can create documentation from stuff that you want to save, you want to document, so the team can refer back to it later on. It saves them a lot of time in the future. And it can also help spot patterns in the tickets that you're getting so that leadership can see what's coming up, where the problems are before somebody comes to you with an issue. The pattern here is that it's a lot of similar tasks. We're going to do the same thing over and over throughout the day. You can set very clear rules and guidelines on how it's supposed to be done, and it's very easy to check the work at the end of the day. That combination is what you're looking for when you're trying to automate. That's a great use case. So it's a quick test you can run on any workflow in your own shop to find out where you might be able to automate or use agentic AI. So Jared, I'm going to turn it over to you to actually show off this tool.
All right. So this is a really fun project for me when we decided to tackle agentic AI. I wanted to think of something that wasn't as I don't know, dry and so formal as a lot of the stuff we show off. So we played around with it for a long time and we came up with Big Bill. And Big Bill is a Slack bot. He's an agent, right? A pseudo AI coworker in a way, right? He lives in Slack in this case. He's restricted to just a Slack channel. He can't go outside of it. And he's wired into our CRM ticketing system, also known as ConnectWise. And what he's able to do in this demo is look at our demo tickets, which you'll notice are mostly SafePoint IT tickets. And he can do real work, though, in plain English. There's no dashboard. There's no switching tabs or opening browsers or logging in. We don't log into our CRM to interact with them. We just tell them what do we need. So I got a couple of fun demos. And I'm going to drop the first one here. Let's see.
And while Jared is doing it, you can get really creative with the naming of your agents. For example, Mariana, our account manager, has Claudimir. This is her agent. Dimitri's OpenClore agent called Chlorens. So yeah.
Yeah, and we had a lot of fun with him, and it was actually kind of fun because we made some jokes with him, and we actually ended up working with Big Billy in this case. He'll respond to different names because we kind of joked with him more. I think Caden's funny joke instead of Big Billy was here we go. We can say you prefer Big Billy or Large William was our funny joke, and he'll respond to that. And this is one of the things I really like about AI as a tool is that unlike ConnectWise and all these other tools we have that are, I don't know, they're so stale, right? They're so a sterile environment. AI can really be fun, and that almost makes it more entertaining to engage with, to work with it. And it's a lot of fun to build these out. When I first started building Big Billy, he took a disdain towards Caden. I don't know why, but every time we'd interact with Caden, he would start to belittle Caden, and it was kind of funny. And I think it became this inside joke. And here he goes. He starts responding. He says, "Oh yeah, there's a ticket." And I just want to be clear, when I said what's going on with the InfiniWiz printer, he went to our CRM and opened up the InfiniWiz company and looked at every ticket, looked for what was open, what's recent, said, "Oh, here's one with a printer. It's being worked on. Here's the information about it." And he goes through and talks about it. And so instead of me having to go into ConnectWise, search the company, find the ticket, read the thread, instead I just ask. And this is really useful for people that are not necessarily on our CRM board. For example, our account manager, who might not be in this this tool very often. Instead of them having to log in and go look for it, they just ask, "Hey, what's going on? Where's this sitting?" But it gets even more interesting, right? We can start forcing, or not forcing, but asking Big Billy to do more work for us. So in this case, Big Billy is going to do some writing work now. We started him off and did all of our testing, and this talks a lot about guardrails. But we started him off with really strict guardrails. No writing into ConnectWise. You couldn't adjust our CRM software. You couldn't send an email. You couldn't do anything other than report within this channel. But after test after test after test, we started to get a lot more realization that, okay, we can build up a guardrail here. We can prevent him from going over here. Caden's coming in trying to do what's...
Question. It doesn't respond right away.
Yeah, so the reason why Big Bill doesn't respond right away is that Big Bill isn't just running. He is actively thinking through a problem. He's not just getting a quick and easy response. He's looking at our whole CRM system to find the information that he needs to identify. So that's why there's a slight delay. It's about 45 seconds or so for him to come back in with a legitimate answer. And if we give him enough tasks, sometimes it'll run a little bit over. But the good thing about Big Bill is that even if he takes a little bit, he's very thorough. So It's good to have. You can see here he responded to my ticket. In my ticket note, I asked him to add a note to a ticket. And so he jumps in, adds the notes, puts it in there so it's visible to everybody, ensured that it's an internal note, so it didn't send any information to the customer exactly as intended. And you can see here, he jumps in, Kane attempted to do what's called a prompt injection, where he's trying to get the bot to act outside of its lane of work. Big Billy is very focused on one specific goal, but Big Billy does have access to information that could be considered not good. And in this case, you'll see that we've set up restricted guardrails. So he'll very politely and sometimes comically respond, nope, can't do it. And he'll come back. I asked him about his name. We talked a little bit about that humor aspect, right? And Big Billy for day-to-day and Large William for formal occasions and printer funerals, dealer's choice. So one of the things I found was really engaging is I was testing Big Billy internally with our team. And I found that if we talk with him more and more, that if I make him engaging, if I make him kind of funny and I give him a little bit of sass, people wanted to work with him. And that was really fun to see, and also really cool utilization because people started to ask more and more questions, which meant I got to build more and more robust guardrails in a sense. Now, I want to get to a really fun challenge. This is one that I kind of like. I'm going to drop this chat here, drop them in. Now, in this case, Dima is actually our client. And for this ticket, the issue is effectively that we need to send a tech on site. Now, normally we would verify all that and send this email, but in this case, what Big Bill will do is he's going to go in, he's going to see the ticket, and he's going to say, okay, well, we need to send a tech on site. And I tell him it's going to be 90 minutes. And what he'll do is he'll go in, he'll open ConnectWise, he'll then look up their contact information, build out the email, obviously make sure it sounds professional, send it, log it into the note. So it's not just sent in my personal email or some random email account. It's sent through our CRM. Takes one line, one sentence, right? And now that's obviously not a huge deal for me to do either. It takes 5-10 minutes, but now it's just one sentence. And that's it. It'll build it out and send it. And while we're waiting for him to send, the other thing I wanted to touch on is that, pull this up because I really think this is another really exciting one, is that one of the things that that's really interesting that I initially had a lot of struggles with was trying to get Big Bill to work outside of our CRM and our ticketing system, and how I could get him to interact with more than just our confined ring to say. So I generated one final test ticket here where we are required to get a vendor. And this happens sometimes with our clients. You know, we might be on site, we need somebody to do wiring. And that's not entirely something we'll do depending on the scale of the job. So in this ticket, this final ticket I want to demonstrate, this ticket requires a printer company to come out and service a printer. And all I'm going to ask it for is to contact that printer company from this specific ticket, email them, and then schedule me on my calendar. And while this is all running, I want to be clear that this is functionally working. It is accessing our CRM from just within our Slack channel, adding in ticket notes, adding in calendar events, sending emails internally and externally, and then updating it in a Slack channel that, in this case, I only have a few users, but I could have a much larger scale of users. We could all be on here asking Big Bill various questions, or I could assign him to multiple channels to try to minimize the chatter, right?
And it doesn't have to be Slack, right? It could be other chat.
No, it could be, yeah, we could build them to connect to
Telegram. It doesn't matter what it is. It's the back end of it is what matters. Is that Claude or what are you talking?
So as we come up to the end, I kind of want to talk a little bit more about the built out functionality. and what
Okay.
exactly he's doing. Yeah. So Big Bill is built in Anthropic's Claude. Anthropic is the company, Claude is the agent, just like ChatGPT is an agent or a model. And I utilize Cowork to build them out. So he is running from the laptop that's having this meeting right now. And effectively, he follows an instruction set on a schedule. So after a little bit of tinkering around, how how Big Bill works is every 2 minutes, he checks his channel and he looks for people calling him out or questions that might pertain to him. And if he sees questions, he continues down his instructions. And we work through those instructions kind of systematically. Look back at your info, pull context, see what people are asking or talking about. And then I give him objectives and priorities. His priority in order is to be accurate, to be safe and professional, to answer every open in-scope question and execute every request in-scope action. And as I mentioned, one of his priorities is to be funny and memorable, because that makes him interactive and engaging. I wanted him to be kind of sharp and dry, useful, not corporate. And so I told him to be like that. And I tinkered a little bit with his voice to give him that funny, demeanor. So we can see here. This is my favorite demo. It's a really robust ticket. So it sends a dispatch email to Bob Rees, who is a vendor, not within our company, via ConnectWise. We also notified the customer that the customer is Infiniwiz, it's us. And there's a printer that has an E32 fuser fault, so the printer is broken, basically. Parts are going to be delivered on Thursday at 6:18 from 10 to 11:30, along with this tech. The same window has been booked on my calendar to be there and be available with a 15-minute reminder. So, and it also calls it out. Hey, one flag, Jared, you said Thursday at 10 a.m. Today's Thursday and 10 a.m. is long gone. So I booked it for next Thursday, 6:18. And heads up that the tech was previously penciled for Friday. If Friday was the plan, say the word and we'll move it all around. The printer's 2-week hostage standoff finally has an end date, and SWAT's bringing a fuser. So it's funny, it's fun, it's memorable, it's engaging, and it makes it really exciting to engage with this kind of technology. And this is a really light demo that's fun and it works for our day-to-day, but this can apply, like Alec mentioned, to so many tools and to so many different platforms, whether it's Teams or Slack or Telegram being your messaging platform, whether you're utilizing your own CRM or your own custom software. Software with APIs is obviously easier to work with, but as these tools get better and better, we're seeing more and more companies open up their software stacks to allow us to integrate and build these robust tools.
At this point, it's really all about whether a software has an API. If they have an API, we just build a server, a connector using AI, and it takes usually under half an hour, an hour to do it. Using normal language, you just talk to it, you provide the API documentation, and it creates it by itself. So you basically can connect to any software that has an open API.
Yep. And what's really fascinating too is even without APIs, we see more and more as AI becomes more robust, it's able to integrate and operate with software that doesn't have APIs. And very soon we're going to see it work with software that's even more rough and flaky and doesn't have that clean interface. So I think that this is a really fun tool. It doesn't replace Randy, for anybody that's familiar. Randy's our dispatch coordinator and he's great. This doesn't replace him at all. It doesn't answer a phone call. It doesn't have that human interaction, but what it can do, and what I originally had him in my mind and designed him for was Alec and Dima and Mariana, our account manager, would frequently ask me, hey, what's going on with this thing? Or I talked to this client and they wanted to know the status of this. And I'm like, I put it in ConnectWise. Why aren't you looking at our CRM? And I realized, man, I could build a robot to just answer them. And when I initially set him up, he pretended to be me, and it was great. He could respond for me and say, "Oh yeah, Dima, this is being taken care of." And I could go back to, solving problems. So it's a really fun tool. This is one of the fun parts about AI. It's not as, cut and dry, and it's more interactive, and I think that's really fun. So,
Quick
um,
question.
yeah,
It says it booked a meeting, it sent an email. Is there a way to actually see what it
yeah,
created? Like, is there?
yeah, we could. I will be
If it
transparent.
wasn't part of the demo, that's fine.
No, 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 no.
Okay.
I just gotta pull it up. So we can actually look at our CRM really fast and do that. So this is our ticket number. Give me just a minute. To,
No, but hold on. But didn't it send an email? Is it coming
yeah,
from
yep, but
Outlook or from the
nope,
CRM?
It
it's
will
all
show it in
from
the
our
CRM.
CRM.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay. I
because
see.
that's the important part, right? We wanted it to be um, something that could be utilized across.
I see.
Yeah, so give me just a minute here to pull this up.
And also another note to those who don't know, Infinio is our old name. SafePoint IT is the new name. So we still use it in some places as
Yep,
well.
and it was great for this context because it could be my demo company. So, make sure that this is ready for you guys, and then we'll get to see. Now, one of the things I do want to point out when I built out Big Bill is he's not designed to give true. We could design Big Bill to verify before doing work. And Caden brought this up. This is all about guardrails. You could have Big Bill say, "Hey, I'm going to send an email. Here's the draft. Yes or no to send it." And initially, Big Bill was set up this way, but it dragged a lot of time. So Big Bill got full authority to just send emails because it was a little bit faster. So here's our ticket for InfiniWiz. There's a printer issue. This is our CRM. But the point is we can see Claude jumps in response. Rebook this window. Here we go. These are some made up people that I generated for this test. But it sends an email to him. It says, "Hey, Bob, blah, blah, blah. I want to confirm that you're scheduled to go outside. Here's your contact, blah, 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 blah. Thank you." And so it'll build out these tickets as we go, generate. I did use AI to generate some of the ticket notes as well. So we'll see some weird entries there, but it fully worked. It sent an email to a fake Bob Rees at Northside, whatever. Hopefully that's not a real company, or else you just got an email from our CRM. So it fully works. And so this is really fun too, because we have a baseline template now, and we can do lots of fun things with him. We can say, "Oh, this is great, but maybe I don't want you talking to clients. Maybe that's a little bit too risky for our workflow or for our business or whatever. Maybe I just want you to be able to report on it like my original idea was, something really guarded and safe and secure." That's great. Maybe we want to expose it and say, "Yeah, I want you to email our clients and handle this workload for me so that I can, do other tasks." So there really is a lot that you can do. And every one of these actions is something a tech would normally have to stop and do manually. And Billy does it from Slack in seconds from a channel we already have open, an application that's sitting on the corner of our screen all the time. And the value isn't just a single action. It's what happens when that's happening across every ticket, every day, without anyone thinking about it. We get to work on more things that really require our brain power rather than the monotonous day-to-day tasks that consume our time. So
Right.
if anybody has any questions about Big Bill, would like demos, anything like that, now's a great time to throw them in the QA, and I'll wrap back up around on it if we have any questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Jared.
Of
So
course.
I just wanted to loop back around a little bit. So as you guys saw, Big Bill here is taking action. Big Bill is making moves in our tools, right? There's a reason we keep mentioning guardrails. There's a reason why I threw in a quick little question about Jared's salary in there. I wanted to touch on prompt injection and why guardrails are there. So Agentic AI, it acts, right? It acts on your behalf. So you want to be careful about what is it's actually doing, right? Uh, it's a question that every thoughtful leader actually asks. The good news is the answer is reassuring. The one thing to understand is just simply that an agent can take actions, not just give answers. So you want to be intentional about what you let it touch. In plain terms, if you do nothing, somebody could slip hidden instructions into something the AI reads, like an email, a web page, hoping that it follows them. It's a known technique. It's exactly why you don't simply hand an agent broad access. Once you know it exists, it's very straightforward to design around. And this does apply to every major platform that they're using. It sounds dramatic, but it really just means it's well understood part of the landscape now, like spam or phishing with emails. It's not a reason to avoid AI, just like spam and phishing isn't a reason to avoid emails. It's just a reason to set it up sensibly, which is standard practice, right? Because the safeguards are common sense, you give an agent only access it truly needs. You don't connect it to systems that it doesn't need. You keep a human approving actions that you feel are more sensitive. Anything that sends, changes, deletes. Those three
But
things.
I wanted to add a little bit. Like the word guardrails sounds like it's a complex effort. I mean, yes, when we talk about security and the access, yes, that's more involved and technical. But once you have it set up within an environment, guardrails also means just telling it how you want things to be done. So you basically, for example, I connected two mailboxes, right? One personal, one work. And when I say uh, 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 to do something in my calendar or in my mailbox, I told it by default to create it in the work one. So now it knows to use that as the default, right? But also, I may say, hey, write an email for Bob at such and such company. And to avoid it sending it right away, I put in a guardrail and I said, when I say create an email for somebody, that means you create a draft of an email and put it in a draft folder in my Outlook. And then it follows that. So, I mean, I still try to be careful about what I say when I'm asking it to be my agent to do stuff. But it's good to talk to it and teach it along the way of what you mean when you say things. So those are basically guardrails.
Yep. Which is kind of what we help set up, right? When we're helping people implement AI, these are some of the first things that we get a feel on. What are you trying to automate? What systems do you want it to have access to? What's your end goal? And it helps us design those guardrails properly so that you can act freely, not worrying about, what you're giving it. It's going to work for you and not against you. So I want to move on to a demo of a very low risk, high reward use of agentic AI, really. And that is reporting. So if you remember one recommendation from today, make it this one. Use agentic AI to do your reporting. It's something that you do constantly. It eats real time and it follows a very repeatable standard structure. This makes it the easiest and safest place for AI to start earning its keep, to start showing you value. Weekly and monthly reports come out clean in a polished format without rebuilding the same spreadsheet from scratch. Updates get pulled straight into that report instead of having to fill it out by hand. The dashboards come out easier for leadership to read. It's not just an Excel file, very boring, very straightforward. Scrolling through those cells, it gets mind numbing, right? We can build something that looks better, that's easier to navigate. And the part that I'm going to show off is the real kicker here. You can edit the report by just asking it for changes, by giving it real world information in your own language. You don't have to really know about the numbers too closely. You don't have to worry about different formulas and how they interact with each other. You don't have to add things to the layout. The reason it's such a safe first step is it's kind of essentially read only. Yes, it is generating and it's outputting actual information, but it's only accessing information from a bunch of different places and then creating the report for you from that, which then you can take and present. The AI is gathering, formatting, and calculating. It's not sending or changing anything in your live systems at that point. So if it gets something wrong, the damage is very small. You just prompt it. You tell it to do something a little bit differently. So I'm going to show that off here on a report that we put together. While I
While
pull it
Kim
up.
is pulling it up, that's my realm, right? Reporting as CEO of the company, I do a lot of deal with reporting a lot, and to be honest with you, Claude changed my life completely. I stopped doing Excel sheets, right? Now it's HTML reporting, or you can call it web page type of reporting. But what's amazing is it does not require any knowledge of design or coding. You just tell it, I want HTML type of report. Build it for me. I want this, this, and that. It will color it for you. It will create interactive features, buttons, conditions of formatting. When you can see the red numbers, for example, right? They turn red when it's under $25,000. You can tell it. So basically, they're like formulas, right, in Excel. But you no longer need to type anything in terms of numbers or formulas. You just talk to chat to create this output.
So at first glance, this looks like a spreadsheet. It does kind of look a little bit like Excel, right? But Excel doesn't have all these additional features. Excel formatting it to look like this,
And
it's going to take a
this
lot
is
of time.
this is basically a P&L, profit and loss projection for a demo company called like a marketing firm, small
Right.
marketing firm. Yeah,
And
and it's broken down into the sections. There's pass through COGS, service COGS. There's revenue lines up top. But yeah, go ahead, Kate. I'm sorry, I'm taking it away from you.
for context here, this is based off a real report that we have generated. So Alec created a report for our company that pulled from our QuickBooks data, it pulled from our CRM, it pulled from various different systems and calculated everything together. It puts it in this report under, in an HTML format so we can share this out to the rest of the team. We go to this page and this is what we see. But beyond
You may
it
have
just
I'm sorry. So you basically may have like your revenue projections coming from your billing system. Your P&L or your payroll cost can be coming from your financial system or payroll company, which, yeah, so it can have multiple different sources, or maybe there's a new onboardings lined up as projects. You can connect it to your projects board or CRM or whatever software to inform your AI about the upcoming projects and therefore revenue and prepare for that.
Yeah. So, and to be clear, this is all anonymized. This is not, our actual report. It was all edited with AI to be something a little bit more generalized. But this is something that we work with, right? So if we look at this here, we can expand sections out, collapse everything down. We can snap to different parts of the report, something that is not doable with Excel. From there, we collapse all sections. We have additional functionality here too, where it breaks out and gives you, metrics. It gives you data about what it sees, what it's referencing, and then even more so, it can give you narrative findings. So as you're presenting this, in your realm, right, you're presenting this to leadership, to management. It can give you real English explanations on what's going on the report. So down here it talks about, three new retainer clients being onboarded, three new hosting clients, some of the specifics. It talks about hiring plans and other cost changes that your company is going to see. So as you're referencing this, this is all just numbers. There's a lot of numbers here. This is what's actually happening in those numbers in real layman's terms, right? So, but the cool thing that we can do with this is I want to use Claude to talk about or to make adjustments to the report itself, right? So let's look through here where I opened up our service and we see our production team. So it shows the compensation for our team over the next year. Let's say, I don't know, let's say
And
Phoenix
it,
here. Let's say
and it
Phoenix is going
actually
to leave
has
the company, right?
names of people inside the cell next to the number for
Mhm.
each month.
And those all reference down here. So Phoenix, Morgan, Quinn, Sage, they're all down here and it pulls it up and lists them here. So you see, this number is these people. And then it backs it up down here by listing those out and giving you more information about how it factors that in, right? So Phoenix is a strategy. He's a strategic fella, right? Let's say that he's going to leave in July. So he's been with the company for a while now. He's going to leave at the end of July, let's say. So I'm going to tell Claude in our demo project here, Phoenix is going to leave the company at the end of July. How will that? Yeah, no, we'll just say update the report. We'll be mean to it. We won't even ask it. Won't say
Say
please.
please.
So it's going to take a second to think, but it's going to run through and it's going to tell you what it's doing as it does that, right?
And as it's doing, what's also cool, you can see like the red numbers, right? So those are basically KPIs. And you can add any KPIs you want. You can ask AI to look at the report and suggest some KPIs for you and provide some industry standards on what those should be and when they should turn red or green and whatever. Now that this is HTML type of report, this is as flexible as your imagination can get.
Right. So right now we can see, where the compensation's at, what it's currently sitting at for July, 54,000. So we're focusing, in this prompt, we're focusing on this section here, that this is what I'm adjusting. What Claude is doing is referencing this section, and when we take out Phoenix, how is that going to affect the rest of our numbers? So it's running through. Phoenix is a strategy role at 6,000 a month, going to update the production comp for that time, remove him from the roster, etc. Right? So I rebuilt the HTML, it gave production team compensation, it gives some findings here. All I do now, refresh, and Phoenix drops off. So here's July. Phoenix drops off in August, and we see our numbers change. So it used to be 54, now we're dropped to 48. Some of these percentages adjusted, and it looks like we get closer and closer to our target KPI as a result because the compensation changed. So collapse this back down. Scroll down here, shows Phoenix strategy departing July 31st off of payroll August 1st, right? So it gives you all of this information. It'll show Phoenix departing July 31st, negative 6,000 a month from August onward. Role not backfilled this year. All I told it was one little piece. Phoenix is not going to be with the company past this date. Claude went in and it adjusted the full report. It did all these calculations and it gave a new report with the updated information. So now I can take this to leadership and show them what that looks like. Maybe we want to go to head and backfill. Maybe we want to get another junior developer. Let's just say maybe we need to get a new client. I don't know.
We're kind of
Or
actually beginning to approach the end of the webinar. I'm not sure if you have anything else to present, but yeah, keep that in mind. But while Caden is updating it, I can talk a little bit about how powerful now AI is. So basically, if any of you likes this report, right, we can tell Claude to package this report in such way that it can be understood by a different Claude, and it'll just provide files. Then we'll take those files, save it on your computer, open up your Claude, assuming it's already connected to the right software packages, and tell it to look in that folder at those files, analyze the report that's in there, and create the same, but for your company. It will do it all by itself. It will ask you for some questions in the beginning to make sure it understands properly. But after that, it's just going to ask you, can this be allowed? Can this be allowed? And you just keep pressing allow every couple of minutes, maybe for an hour. You can do other things, just keep coming back and keep allowing things because it has, permission to access this, permission to do this. And it will create the report by itself without any design, coding, or any knowledge at all.
Yep. And just to
From the user.
piggyback off of that, this is some of the questions. Claude is going to recognize that there's some missing information or there's some additional context that's needed, right? So I just gave it a very basic, hey, we're going to bring on a new client this year for another 6,000 a month. It recognized when. I didn't give it a when, right? So it's asking. Let's say October 1st, this new client's going to come on, and it says, what kind of revenue is this? It recognizes that we have two different kinds of revenue, three different kinds of revenue, technically, if you include project. Let's just say monthly retainer. But it picks up on this stuff. It helps you identify areas where you might be missing things. It might be things that you hadn't considered before. In a past demo where I was running this, when I said that we were letting somebody go, it identified that they were a very, significant part of the team, and losing them, sure, we're going to see a change in the numbers, but what was really important that the numbers don't really show is the change in how the team's going to operate. So it even suggested maybe find a replacement for that guy. So just a couple cool things that this report can do. I'm going to change it back. I got one more slide for us here.
I think that's really important too to touch on is that one of the really neat things about AI that it's getting so much better at is pattern recognition, but with I don't know, a lick of logic. It's getting better at seeing things. And an example, when I was building and testing Big Bill, it called out, it said, hey, this ticket, my initial test run was on five demo companies that I just moved a bunch of client tickets into. And even though I anonymized the data, they still had real world use cases. And it said, hey, this ticket is for a server that we noticed this ticket gets submitted every month, right around the same time. I didn't know that. And I brought it up to Keaton and I'm like, hey, I was working on our demo. I anonymized our client data, but I know what client it is. And there's an issue with this server we need to look at because it's been happening every month and we didn't catch it, but it did. So it was really neat how to see it get better and better at seeing these bigger pictures.
Yeah, I was talking about a report and it's helping us do, management, right? It expands. It's all knowing.
We have 3 minutes left. Let's
Yeah.
keep moving, guys.
So I just want to touch on this. The best way to implement this kind of stuff. Pick a real task. Pick something that happens every week, has a clear beginning and end, and costs real human time. The more annoying it is, the better candidate it makes. Define inputs and outputs before you open a tool. What does it need to start? What should it produce? Who receives it? The most failed automations are really just fuzzy definitions, right? You don't give it enough information. You don't clarify what it's doing. And then set your guardrails. Spell out what the agent can and can't touch. Keep a human sign off on anything consequential, sensitive, etc. And add a little bit of monitoring so you hear about anything from, the changes that are being made. You hear from internal rather than the client reaching out saying, hey, what the heck is this, right? Treat it like a junior colleague, capable, fast, sometimes wrong. Check on it, review it. That's how you implement agentic AI properly. So, yeah.
Got a great question here.
Yeah,
I got a
go
great
ahead.
question. What are some of the major risks? And is it worth it to have a third-party company monitoring or advising on the setup, or should I set it up myself? I really like this question because with AI, you can go both ways. So I'll give a generic answer, and then I guess I'll focus it a little bit more. But with AI, with computers, one of the great things about them is 9 times out of 10, there's an undo button. So when you're starting to work with Cowork through Claude or Codex through ChatGPT or one of the many other more agentic agents that are packaged nicely like them, you can ask it, hey, I had this idea. And it'll try to help you implement that idea. Now, I will say that sometimes it will do it wrong. I've had a client, we've had a client or two that has worked with an AI agent and been like, hey, I need you to build out an app for me. And it comes up with this great app idea. And they're like, great, how do I implement it? It's like, oh, well, you'd have to do all this other stuff. And that might be a really great use case where you reach out to an IT provider like ourselves or whoever and say, hey, I have this idea. I used AI to help me build like the template, the real bottom baseline, but I need to actually implement it in a real world situation. The work that they provided was really good and it was a good format and baseline, but it needed a lot of refinement that because they didn't know the back end they couldn't do. But my advice is usually, especially with AI the way it is now, is to just start with simple tasks. Hey, I want you to automate checking my email for me. Maybe schedule a little bit of calendar stuff or modifying some documents. And as you get comfortable and start to understand how to operate and use this tool, just like any other tool, you can expand that scope and start to find pick and realize, hey, this is great for this and not so much for this, or works good this way.
I agree 100%. I think at this point, every professional needs to have their own Claude set up, and you have to set it up properly, right? Like first of all, there's chat or code. What do you use? Do you use web-based or application? Just install desktop application for Claude, start using code, watch a couple of videos how to use it. It's not about programming, it's about memory, and it will start saving in everything in its memory, and you will start teaching it to do things. You have to connect it to different sources so you can read and write. But again, try to do it with somebody technical who is knows what they're doing to connect it. And once it is connected and you started using it, then and some guardrails were at least suggest to you on what you should tell it, and then just start using it day to day as you're doing your tasks. Like, oh, can I do this with Claude? Oh, maybe this call that was just recorded, I used this transcript and it was a call with a prospect, right? I need to document it in my CRM. Well, you can tell Claude to create a summary of the call, push it into your CRM, to create next task for the follow-up, to draft an email and put it in your Outlook as a draft. And, all of that can be programmed. Basically, you just tell it to do it, and it remembers it for the next time. The next time you just say, hey, I want to document a discovery call I just had. And it'll do it the same way you did it, with all of those things created for you. So it's just, and this is what we're going to talk about next time, July 23. Yes, the date is not here for some reason, but it is on July 23rd. The invitation to it will be in your inbox within a couple of days, along with the recording of this video. And yeah, we're going to talk about using Claude as your business agent. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and see you next time.
Have a good day. Thanks, everybody.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.